Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Cheese Room podcast, sponsored this week by Scale Electric. In another momentous week, we'll be looking at the Sheffield United cart crash, previewing Wolves, and discussing the news that the World Connect 4 Championships will be held at the stadium this summer. For that and more witty run sheet banter, I've got some wonderful guests on the show. They're going to be unpicking all things go-karting tonight, and we've got a panel that is tired and exhausted with the latest shenanigans at Spurs. From Sydney, it's social media influencer, Oasis fan, and all-round top geezer is Dave. How you doing, Dave?
I'm really good. What an intro that was. Whoever wrote that is a genius.
Yeah. Only those were your own words.
I'm not sure chicanery works, but you know.
Well, we need to get Dave a microphone that hangs down from above, so he can just talk like this the whole time.
That would be a sight, to be fair, wouldn't it? Well done for joining us. You've made the right choice tonight. 30 of you watching already. Smash that like button. And also joining me from Vienna, the fan of Aussie reality TV show My Kitchen Rules, it's HG. How are you, HG?
As long as it's not... That was awful. Yeah, I'm all right, actually. Yeah, as you can see, I have something behind me, my kitchen, which is... I don't know why people seem to be that interested in it, but it's okay. And
it's a nicer backdrop than your white wall.
And it's been more fun to talk about my kitchen than about Spurs this week. So we can continue.
It's like your mood lit behind. Yeah, in a positive way, not the mood we all had on Wednesday evening either. And the most introducing last, the most relieved man in the cheese room because he narrowly avoided a visit this week from Diver the Fiver. It's Flat Cap Jack. How are you, Flat Cap? You okay? Didn't have to eat your body weight in steak this week, so you should be relieved.
No, I was not gorged in steaks and Manhattans, unfortunately, as much as I wanted to be. I would have also probably had to have met, Diver over in Manhattan. I dare he would try to make his way all the way out to Brownsville, Brooklyn. So I think, I would try to meet him out on the island. But he is going to be here again, so I won't be able to avoid him that time. There'll be no excuses the next time around. I'll be able
Brooklyn's lovely. I stayed in Brooklyn with my dad last time I was in New York, actually, and he's watching tonight, so I'm keeping the swearing at a minimum because my daddy is watching because he's a Wolves fan. And we're also joined later by lovely Dave from Talking Wolves podcast, one of our regular visitors on the show. I am really looking forward to that. I did say to him arrive at about 9:15 because we'll only need 10 minutes to review the Sheffield United shit show. Oh no, I'm swearing already. Davo, I heard you didn't watch this game. How did you have the foresight not to do that?
Yeah, no, because it's another subscribing channel. So I'm going to leave you guys to talk about the Sheffield United game. I'm going to read this book. It's called Behind Closed Doors by Irving Scholar, an old Tottenham chairman. There he is, Gaza. He was the chairman and owner of the club who, did a bit of development on the stadium. He saddled the club with loads of debt and invested in non-core football activities. Just a bit of history for me to read. But no, I didn't watch it. Sorry about that.
Are you going to read There Was Once a Football Club There by Bill Neck right after?
Yeah.
I'm just amazed, considering all the fans do is talk about Keith Birkinshaw, when surely Irving Scholar was the man who brought the trophies to White Hart Lane. He should be the one that we revere. Isn't that how it works?
Well, actually, he was chairman 1984 UEFA Cup and 1991, just before he sold out Sugar and Venables. So I think he had.
Was it 2 in 10 years? That's not a bad ratio. We should be revering this man.
Yeah.
Well, I like him.
And he didn't he spend a load of money on players we couldn't really afford, which is what you've been basically abdicating for the last, since I've known you, really.
Hang on a minute, I'm reading this book. You're talking about the game. That's how it goes, isn't
yeah, there you go. Just before we bankrupted the club. We got some questions in the chat already. What's next? Ice hockey is possible. Make a good sized arena.
I prefer air hockey. Can we do that?
Air hockey. The Tottenham Casino.
Tonsil hockey.
Oh God, I'd absolutely get behind this. Tottenham Casino. That'd be pretty awesome. That might come actually with the hotel when the hotel's built. I know you're really looking forward to that, Dave. Tell us your thoughts on the hotel. No, we haven't got all night. We've got a match to review before Dave gets here. So, team selection HG. How scared were you when you saw that 11?
I predicted in our little WhatsApp group that we would lose 2-0. So I probably underestimated our own ability. But yeah, it was none of us thought that it was a good idea to do what we did, and I can say that beforehand. I don't think any of us really thought it was a good idea, but I wasn't thrilled when I saw it. No.
Yeah. Which player selection thrilled you least?
Oh my gosh, where do we start? I think
with Sanchez.
To be fair, no, I don't think it was because Sanchez was, I guess, the obvious. I thought Sanchez might start instead of Dier because we need to kind of prepare him for Milan next week because Dier can't play in that. Probably seeing Lucas over Danjuma was a bit why, but then Lucas did all right, weirdly enough. So it was just, but yeah, the Lucas one was probably the one that made me think, what on earth are we trying here? Like it just felt, who else is leaving in the summer that we can give one last game to? One last defeat in the Spurs colours. That's what it felt like.
The moment I saw Lucas on the team sheet, I knew all was lost, Jack. How sick are you how sick do you feel having gone out the FA Cup, knowing that we would have drawn Blackburn at home in the quarterfinal?
Yeah, I actually wasn't even aware of that until after the defeat, which probably was an extra little punch in the gut afterwards. I kind of walked into this game maybe a little bit more foolish than HG has and maybe the others have. I kind of just feel like I sort of did anticipate that Spurs were not going to make it easy, but I actually might have foolishly thought that we were going to somehow slip by. So I very much do maybe come out, I do feel a bit foolish for trusting them. I feel like Jack, it was just more of a disgusting performance, if I were to find the right wordage around it.
Jack, would you like to be in a really good WhatsApp group where you see lots of pictures of Steve Diver's lunch and Dave moaning all day about Enic? Would you like that?
I feel like Twitter already does enough of that, but it's I'm not sure how different that will be, but I'll try it. I could get more Dave and more steaks.
With the cheesy twitch, I'll add you up after the show. You'll love it, I promise. The team attitude, a problem, Dave? I presume you've watched the game back. Did you bother?
I watched the goal, and I've watched Davinson Sanchez fall over loads of times. I've watched that. I mean, look, obviously, I still get really irritated when we go out the FA Cup because the FA Cup means something to me, and our club had a tradition, and its identity was play exciting football. Never really changed for the league, did it a few times, and won some cups now and then, and a great day out at Wembley. And this was wide open this year. Wide open.
Dave, is this on Enic or is it on Conte or Stellini, whichever one you want to believe is in charge of the team right now?
I know what
genuine question.
I know what HG is going to say because
I'm not asking HG. I'm asking.
I read HG's mind, and he's going to go, "Was Levy on the near post in the corner every time?" Right?
It's a serious question.
It's a serious question,
and the reason I ask this question is because I am on Twitter and I do see an awful lot of nonsense. An awful lot of nonsense. Some of which spouted by you. So I'd like you to go on the air and explain yourself.
I think I don't get why he picked. If Moura's leaving at the end of the season and you've bought Danjuma with a loan and option to buy in the summer, right? Jack, you really are going to regret this. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Mainly,
I'm very good at muting. I'm very good at
mainly
muting.
for Diver the Fivers lunch pictures, to be honest.
Honestly,
but, yeah.
if you're going to see a collection of cows on a plate, you're going to enjoy that. Anyway,
can we make clear this is the meal before he's eaten it? We don't see the afterwards when he regurgitates it.
No
on
one
his
wants to
keto
see
diet.
that.
We don't see any of that. It's the before shot that we get from Diver.
I think that, look, Sheffield United made how many changes to their team, right? They're
8.
Championship 8. They made 8 changes to their first team, and we still bloody lost the game, right? And so the reality is they should have played Romero, because I feel a bit sorry for Porro because he's had to line up his 2 games. He's had Japhet Tanganga and Sanchez. It's not really fair on him. Old Captain Flappy Hands on the goal was like, ushering him through. Off you go.
I want to talk about that.
Yeah. Look, I think the blame is on Conte. He's picked the team, and he picked the wrong team. And we should have just gone out, done the business, 2-3-0 up, take him off. Done. You yawning already?
Yeah, I am tired. Look, do you think that had we?
So,
the thing is, like, no, but hang on a second. So, Jack, like you mentioned about the draw. The draw was done after the defeat, which is why you didn't know.
Yeah, and I was
But do you think
completely
Spurs-
unaware we were playing Blackburn, so I kind of
Yeah.
had gone into it, not
Do-
knowing
but
that was the
do-
team afterwards.
But do you think we would have played better had we known that Blackburn was the possible opponent? Like, because obviously it all happened afterwards. So now we can sit here and be like, oh, you bunch of morons. But do you think the players might have tried a bit harder had they known that a home quarter final was the reward?
I think what's more disgusting is this was probably an easier chance of it than any other chance. Like, I think there was only like 4 or 5 Premier League teams basically left, like at this stage. Like, there's a League 2 team left. What is it? Grimsby beat Southampton. You have Blackburn who beat Leicester. Those were teams that weren't even Premier League teams coming up against each other, kind of knocking each other out. Like West Ham knocked out Man United. Sort of you benefit from that because you get to see a Premier League team get knocked out. And that was the same thing with Fulham and Leeds. There are other examples in the previous round where there are Premier League teams kind of knocking each other out quite early. I think that was even the story of this FA Cup, was that the roadway or the pathway had been made quite easy just from the early sort of fixtures and kind of the bigger teams being paired up quite early in the competition. So that should have been enough incentive for me, HG. I feel like for them to go after it.
Yeah,
just
no,
the fact that it was going to be a lot
I-
easier than usual. It was going to be a lot easier.
I agree, but like maybe if we'd drawn Man City, they'd have been like guaranteed win if we get through. The whole thing's a nonsense. Like, as we see in the comments, like we should have won the game.
The issue I find is we're falling into that territory again where it was like under Nuno, where apparently certain players were very unhappy with basically getting those sort of B team, or backup type minutes. But the problem I find is there are so many guys that seem to be very unhappy with the sort of bit part role at Spurs. But when they've been offered opportunities to go elsewhere to other clubs to receive more playing time, they've denied those chances to go at other clubs. So it's kind of like you can't really have it both ways. You can't sabotage your manager and be unwilling to play in competitions that basically you haven't played in months for, like especially Sanchez hasn't played in weeks. And then he's somehow he's reluctant to take a move. I believe it was to Nantes or it was to like Rennes or something like that he was given a move away to this January, and apparently he denied it. So I don't know. That's what I find frustrating, is that if they don't like this bit part role, if they can't get up to playing an FA Cup game, then I don't know, why are they denying moves then to go to other clubs where they could play all the time? That's what I think.
What I was going to say was Dave he gave the most politician's answer I've ever heard, and
I'll answer the question.
If you could, that'd be good. I mean, is it on Enic or Conte?
It's on all of them. It's on all of them. Okay, because you've had 22 years of footballing decisions that Enic, the owners, make. It's one trophy. That's not good enough, and it's on the team that was picked. It was on the attitude of the players. I think the players you've got players who've been there for such a long time at that club who are just happy to pick up mediocrity. They really are, And of course we're all going to talk about it's going to be a big summer ahead, big summer times 22.
These players, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you look at those players. I want Sanchez gone, Davis and Dier on the bench, Porro, fair enough. Flappy Hands. I mean, I famously said in the summer I'd get rid of Flappy Hands and get in Calvin Phillips. Might be a bit wrong about that. Perisic, I've been really disappointed with. I was really excited that we got Perisic. Son, if we can get some money for him in summer, get rid of him. I love Son, don't get me wrong, but we're so bad at selling. So bad. Ericsson, Ali, Deli, whatever, right? Son has he peaked? Perisic, whatever. He's not playing very well. Well, we got money, get rid of him. And as I said, why play Danjuma? Why not play Danjuma? And you got Lucas, who's going in June. Ridiculous.
The Lucas one really puzzled me, if I'm being really honest. I mean, what genuine use is he to anybody? Like, he just runs down blind alleys left, right, and centre. He's always been the same. We had our 3 minutes with you, 3 minutes of fame after the semi-final. I'm sorry. He just looks confused when he gets the ball. He's got all the talent in the world, but the president's brain is missing. He's not a president, but you know what I mean. It was just just terrible.
I mean, you look at Lucas. So you look at the start.
I mean, look at him there. He looks confused there.
Yeah, because we look at Lucas. The start of last season, that game against City at home, he was man of the match. He had a great game, right? He was energetic. He pressed. He passed the lot, right? The next two games, Wolves, Watford, he was rubbish. The start of the season that we got in the Champions League, he was playing more centrally. When we got those 2 goals against United away, that was his best spell at the club, I think, and he played well then. But he's just not good enough. He's like a Brazilian Paul Allen.
Yeah, and that Man United game was 4.5 years ago. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
But it's a long time ago.
I know.
I also mistakenly thought Lucas was having I mistakenly thought Spurs were going to win this game against Sheffield United. And then also when Lucas was picked, I was disappointed that Danjuma was left on the bench. But from Lucas's first few touches, I was like, you know what, maybe Lucas looks up for this one. So I really did walk into this game like a completely innocent fool, thinking everything was going to go well.
Apparently Danjuma is on the naughty step. Apparently he attended a movie premiere and Conte didn't authorise his absence. I'm not making this up. That is the word. So
that's slightly less disappointing than when all the players attended the 007 premiere after the North London Derby defeat. That was, I think, worse.
I don't know. But, either way, it's bizarre. I think this tweet summed it up quite nicely. We all get frustrated with our own teams, but I doubt there can be a football entity anywhere in the world that's more head-scratchingly frustrating than Tottenham Hotspur. It really is that simple, isn't it? Like, tell me I'm wrong here, right? We want to take the cup seriously, and this is why, Davo, it isn't on the owner, right? For me, and I am anti-Enic, anti-Daniel Levy, etc., etc. But I'm a rational human being with a functioning brain. Okay, so
that's up for debate.
So how is it Daniel Levy's fault that Kane was left on the bench? You're taking the cup seriously. You play your best and your only world-class player, Harry Kane. You play Romero, your World Cup winning centre-back. You play Skipp, who's in form, and not put Sarr in. Skipp's a young lad. He's more than capable of playing 3 games a week. Honestly, it is just pathetic, the decision-making process that has gone into that team. And people can say, oh, well, who sets the priorities about the cup? I mean, that's the biggest cop-out I've ever heard in my life. It is total whataboutery, as is HG's favourite word. And quite frankly...
Yeah, only when you talk. I only use it when you talk.
And quite frankly, I'm disgusted in the management picking that team for a cup that we could have won, should have won, and now won't have a better chance for many seasons. HG, I can tell you're wound up like a spring coil. I can see you want to talk.
I'm just thinking, right, so I think we've all seen the stat about, in the last, 6 or 7 years, Dier's started 5 of the games where we've been knocked out the cup, and Davies has played a bunch, and Sanchez has played a few, as if, the fact that those games that we've won with those players playing obviously had no effect on what happened last night, but only the bad things have made an effect. But I just think, we've had 4 managers in that time. So although we remember every single one of those defeats, that Stellini and Conte don't. They don't remember that. They're just looking at what they've got and thinking, well, these guys they'll go. They're good enough. A lot of fans thought they were good enough to do the job. They probably were, but it's just easier for fans to think further back because we remember it. And there's no way that Nuno or I mean, whoever's been knocked out, Poch and Mourinho, they're not looking back at what happened in 2014, 2015. They don't care. What they care about is what they have to do now. And I think the biggest issue is the players just weren't up for it, and it felt as if the manager only noticed it afterwards. Like, you didn't see any of that in kind of during the game where he was like, okay, let's go forward. It's like everyone just thought we were going to win. At some point we were going to win. And I think every single Spurs fan who have seen it before, plenty of times, thought, we've seen this before. We know how it ends. And it ended exactly the same way.
It ended exactly the same way. It was like Middlesbrough revisited. Why do we always do it, Jack? What is it? Just Spurs' future never to win anything?
I think it is, at the end of the day, a huge part of the mentality of not only the management, but also the players that are picked on these cup days. It does seems like it starts from either the management maybe not going into it with the best sort of preparation, maybe not, taking into account these sort of banana peel situations and this sort of banana peel history. I agree, like with HG, that yes, they're probably not well aware of like the history of like Spurs's kind of, fallouts in the past, but they could also maybe realize, like, at least ahead of time that even in Conte's experience, he's lost to Enes Moura with a similar group of players that he's picked. He's lost to the likes of Middlesbrough last season with a similar group of players that he's picked. So I think that's where maybe then he could try to at least then see maybe some of the risks in what he's decided to go for. My problem, though, is that even if he has gone for a weakened lineup, even if he has gone for a lineup that some would say is sort of asking for it or is sort of kind of playing a bit dangerously, I kind of agree with King Hoddle, where a lot of those guys are supposed to be seasoned, players. They're supposed to be seasoned internationals. And then as well, I'm pretty sure I heard a lot of Sheffield United fans, as well as just a lot of people in general, kind of just say that pretty much almost all of the players that took the field that night did not look up for it and did not really look like they really gave much of a shit really at all, let's be honest. And so I even heard as well, like someone that was a former player who has been playing for those sort of championship type sides before has said when they've seen the Premier League teams knocked out, it's not really always a question of, technical brilliance or anything. It actually really is just kind of wanting it on the day. And you do see sometimes a lot of Premier League teams and a lot of Premier League players that sort of think that these sort of games, these sort of competitions are kind of beneath them. And you could see it in the faces and some of the attitudes, as well as some of the just energy levels of certain players. And I think what's more frustrating, though, is that I find that more sickening with players who barely play at all, kind of like Sanchez, kind of like the likes of, I'll be honest, Lucas, as well as some other players who just didn't really look all that up for it, and they don't really get much playing time to begin with. At the same time, though, I do feel like the players that did take the field that day should be good enough to beat Sheffield. And so while I do question Conte for picking a weakened lineup, I also have to question them for obviously, not really putting their real effort out there.
I love a super chat. I should put the little banner up that says, super chats are live and all the rest of it. But I can't believe I have to read this one out, to be honest. If you want me to read out something as obscene as this, do send us a super chat. I believe we need Harry Winks to return. Let's knock that on the head now. But thanks very much for your generosity, Mod Drummer. A mod of Dave's own heart, I'm sure.
If they throw Dier into the last 5 years of FA Cup defeats, they might as well throw Winks in as well, because I know he was a part of all of them. Just to make ourselves feel a little bit better.
Our special guest is behind the scenes in the green room, so I ask we don't dwell any longer on the farce, the shit show that was Sheffield away. Dave, sum it up for us.
Sum it up? Shit. We're at,
no,
sorry,
the book you just read.
Yeah, the book.
Oh, the book. All right, that. Well, he loads it up with a load of old debt. But the good news is he nearly sells it to Robert Maxwell. But in the end, he sells it to Sugar and Venables. And that ended well, didn't it? The end.
Are you going to blame Daniel Levy for that one as well?
Well, yeah, actually.
I've just seen Paul's put in the chat Conte or Cone, which possibly is probably more use than him. Not back to the Milan game, so that is good news. We might win at the weekend. Dave from Talking Wolves, can you hear me, sir?
I can hear you guys. Sorry, my connection's a bit ropey. Hopefully you guys can hear me all right.
I'm reassured they have got good broadband in the West Midlands. But how you doing, mate?
I'm very well, guys. Yeah, thanks for having me again.
No, it's absolutely Boston, as you would say, to have you on the show. What are you shaking your head at? Is that a word or is it not, Dave?
Because you
It's
spent half your life. Sorry,
that is
but
Blackburn
you spent
Kill-
half
that's
your
Blackburn
life.
Killingham.
I'll stop.
Good. Silence is a virtue. Possess it if you can. Yeah. Seldom found in women and never in a man, just so you know. Right, let's talk Wolves. Dave, how's your season going?
Not very well, if I'm honest. It could be obviously a lot better for us at the moment. We've got some. I think in the summer we'd signed some very good footballers. You guys would have seen when we played you at your place earlier in the season. That was one of our best performances of the season, and obviously you guys got the narrow victory in the end. But we had some good opportunities in the first half of that game, and probably should have done better. But yeah, it hasn't been brilliant. If I'm completely honest, it should be going a lot better. But again, it's the same issue for us. We're just not scoring enough goals, and we saw that in Nuno's final season. We saw that last season under Bruno Lage, and it's improved a little bit. It's under Lopetegui, but still not good enough at the moment.
My dad tells me Lopetegui is the man. He's got a great coaching pedigree, and he's got you playing some decent stuff. Shout out, Mr. Jeff Coleshaw. Love you.
The Coleshaw
And
Derby.
all that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the dad of Caller. Dave, tell me he's right. Tell me he's wrong, actually, because I don't really want to come up against a free-flowing football team right now.
It's definitely an improvement. I think we'll have a brighter future as long as we can stay in the Premier League this season. I think next year will be a massive improvement. It's definitely an improvement. You could see morale on and off the pitch is a hell of a lot better. The players seem to be a lot more engaged, a lot fitter than what they were under the previous regime. So, and I think the January window, the players that are performing well at the moment are players that Lopetegui's brought in. So, it's definitely
who else he brought in, mate?
We saw Mario Lemina, which was a little bit of a surprise. Obviously, he'd been at Southampton and Fulham previously, but he's coming. He's actually won our February Player of the Month. Pablo Sarabia used to play for PSG. We signed Matheus Cunha, forward from Atletico Madrid, who was injured last week but should be back for the game tomorrow. And Craig Dawson, the defender from West Ham. So, but all of those seem to be our better players at the moment.
Well, apparently, after a run of 10 games in which they kept one clean sheet and conceded 21 goals, Tottenham have kept a clean sheet in 4 of their last 5 Premier League games. Won 4 of those and lost 1. They should be looking to record 3 consecutive shutouts for the first time since their final 3 games of the 2021-22 season. My run sheet informs me. Other run sheets are available. Dave, are you looking forward to visiting the Molineux at the weekend?
Dave.
Sorry, Dave. Dave talking Wolves. Other Dave. Oh, it's too confusing.
Sorry, my fault. Yeah.
The mundane. No, it's not your fault. It's my fault. The mundane Dave. That's how I'm going to refer to him. Mundane Dave.
I'd rather be called monotonal Dave.
Fine.
So
We can work with that.
I'm very up for the El Colchico derby that's going to be taking place this weekend, and it's very exciting. Look, firstly, Wolves, Dave, lovely to have you back on. I'm a bit disappointed we haven't got the Wolves light behind you. What's happened?
Oh no, as you could probably tell, I'm at my girlfriend's today, so I haven't got the all singing, all dancing background. But yeah, hopefully, we've already played each other, so next season, as long as we're in the Premier League, I'll be back on next season.
Well, can you tell your beloved that a monotonal man in Sydney, Australia, is very disappointed not to see?
I'll have to get one to put there above the bed.
Yeah,
let's do it. Yeah.
And I think it's a big stage in your relationship if that happens. So I wish you the best of luck with that. We've got a good record there, I believe. So people tell me we've got a good record there. Even Nuno won there last season. And Nuno's first season.
Twice.
And
Twice.
Yeah, Nuno's first season, and indeed Nuno's last season at Tottenham, he won there. And so therefore, we've got a good record there. given the nature of what we do, we beat Man City at home, we get smashed by Leicester away, we beat Chelsea at home, we lose to a rubbish Sheffield United team. I'm confident of a victory due to our inconsistency.
HG, your analysis on this one, and any questions you've got for Dave while we've got the pleasure of his company.
I'm still aghast at you trying to, having spent the last 5 years that we've known each other, trying to tell us you're not from Birmingham, suddenly coming out with all the local lingo as if you are.
Not from
giving the game away there a little bit cooler. But, do you know what, as for the game tomorrow, I'm genuinely thinking, is there something I could rather be doing? It's a Saturday afternoon game. Do I really want to sit at home and watch this? The weather's quite good here. Of course I will watch it, but I don't have any expectations with Spurs right now, because you never know what you're going to get. We went to Fulham, we were a bit hopeless, and we beat them 1-0, which was a result we all thought, wow, okay, this could do something. And as Dave said, ever since then, we're awful against. I think the Arsenal game was before that, but we were awful against Arsenal. We were awful against City first time around, despite going 2-0 up and somehow throwing it away. We've just been ropey most of the year, frankly. And so going to Wolves, who seemed to have turned somewhat of a corner, if you're a Wolves fan, you'd be thinking anything's... But they beat Liverpool 3-0 at home. So they should beat Spurs, frankly, the way we are. And I don't really want to watch that, despite the fact we've had a good record. So I'm kind of... As with every game at Spurs, it's about us. If we show up, we might do something. If we don't, we'll get hammered. And I suspect we won't show up tomorrow.
Jack, give me something better than that, for God's sake.
I think we've done quite well against the teams. We've done well against the teams that haven't really scored, many goals recently. Chelsea had a tough time scoring goals before they came up against us. We thought Dr. Tottenham was going to help them out. They somehow didn't. Kind of the same thing with West Ham. West Ham, I think, do struggle to score goals. They did somehow score a lot against Forest, but I think that being said, they still have kind of struggled this season. And I think Wolves are a bit of a similar situation where they do have good players up front, like Matheus Cunha. I do remember over at Hertha Berlin, I did really like him over there. I kind of was sad that he did go. He absolutely needed to go. He was much better than any of the players at Hertha Berlin at the time, but I did like him. I think Matheus Nunes is a really good player too. I think actually, if anything, what Wolves always somehow boast is no matter where they are in the table, they probably have one of the best midfields, I think, generally always in the Premier League, like Ruben Neves, João Moutinho, Matheus Nunes. I think we'd take all of them in a heartbeat over at Spurs. And I think
Moutinho, he's older than
but 2 years ago, he was still brilliant, I thought. I think he has always been, he's kind of like the Thiago Silva midfielders, I actually think, where he's kind of a bit ageless and always has been a bit ageless, if you will.
Did we nearly sign him?
I know where this is going straight away. Yes, Dave, we did nearly sign him. Do you want to tell us the reason why we didn't?
Oh, because we discovered at the last minute about third-party rights, at 11:48, the deadline date, and we didn't get them over the line. If only we'd known, if only we'd exercised such due diligence on the property deals that we're doing, we'd have got him in. Very surprising.
So if I were to say anything, I think they're one of the worst teams in the league at the moment when it comes to scoring. We do quite well so far against teams like that. I'm always very intimidated by their midfield. I think they have one of the best midfields, but it is kind of a classic case of Spurs do have a very, very leaky defense. And could this leaky defense maybe help a team that has been sort of struggling to score goals? And that is always going to be a factor. But yeah, I mean, I like Wolves. I think Wolves kind of have a soft spot for a lot of their players, but I think we actually will be able to handle it tomorrow, just because I think, Dave will agree with us, but yeah, you guys have struggled a little bit this season to score.
I fear Traore versus Dier with his hands behind his back spinning about. I think that's a fair comment. Traore is having a second lease of life, isn't he, Dave? Only from what I've seen on the Match of the Day highlights. He seems to have come to life near the end of his contract. Is he angling for a move to White Hart Lane?
I think you bringing up Match of the Days probably sounds about right, because the last few games he's been very, very poor. But I think Adama is one of those players where he can have one or two good runs. But to be fair to him, he does create chances still. He's definitely improved since Lopetegui's come in. He played well in the Liverpool game a few weeks ago, but he started on the bench last two games. He's been absolutely awful when he came on the pitch, both against Bournemouth, where we lost and against, well, probably the last 3 games. Bournemouth when we lost, Fulham when we drew, and Liverpool during the week. He's come off the bench and been awful. So I really don't know. He's a player, I think, wherever he goes, that will split opinion on the fan base, because some fans love him for what he can do, but then some fans hate him for obviously his lack of goal contributions.
And out of the no, you Premier League actually, weren't you? Liverpool on in the cup, yeah. Liverpool in midweek, a late loss 2-0. How did you play?
First half we were okay. To be fair, we held Liverpool. We restricted them to very little opportunities. But I think it was just going to be one of those. Well, it was just going to be a matter of, when Liverpool were going to score, not if. They had a goal disallowed with VAR for a foul. Then they scored, 2 goals quite quickly after each other. But we never threatened whatsoever. Don't think we had a shot after the 13th minute. So, what we were saying about scoring goals, I think that just about sums it up. But I think the important thing for Wolves fans is not to get too beat up about an away loss to Liverpool, because 2 weeks ago when we beat them 3-0 at home, it's like, oh, hold on, can we make a late dash into Europe? And then all of a sudden we're on about going down again. So it's just trying to find that fine balance. And that's why I'm sort of glad. I don't think, we're going to go out there and play Spurs off the park, but I'm glad this game has come around quite quickly to try and ignore that Anfield result. So it's going to be a tough game tomorrow, but I'm hoping we can try and get something out of the match, just due to you guys being so inconsistent.
Inconsistent is probably the word. Just on Lopetegui, were the fans up in arms when he was appointed? Because apparently it broke a club tradition that he wasn't Portuguese.
No, I mean, we were really excited. He was a manager that the club wanted when they were first taken over. So, no, he can speak a little bit of Portuguese if that helps. But yeah.
Is his agent George Mendes?
Correct, it is, yeah.
Oh, that's a shot.
There you go. Yeah.
I think they've wanted him from the very beginning, actually. I think you guys have missed out on him, for various reasons, deaths and family, and he was at Sevilla, of course, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Are you a fan of him, Jack?
I liked him when he was actually at Sevilla, when, in fact, Antonio Conte, before he had joined Spurs, I thought that was one of the best Europa League sort of finals in a long time, that Sevilla versus Inter Milan side. I thought Reguilon at the time, I really liked him. Lopetegui got the best out of Reguilon than I think any other player has, or any other manager has. He's gotten the best out of a lot of players, kind of, that I'm pretty sure better than almost any other player has. I think it was even Steven Nzonzi or something. He got a huge a tune out of, or something like that. So I like Lopetegui. I do like him. I would say too, actually, caller, Max Kilman is definitely the English center back we should be looking at, probably in that team too. I think Max Kilman is really criminally underrated, at least in my opinion.
Is he killing it, Dave?
He's had a quieter season. He's still, I think, again, he's another player that's improved a lot since Lopetegui's come in, mainly because, we had Nathan Collins as well, and Kilman and Collins, because they were so, I know Kilman's a little bit older, but he's still very inexperienced, I would say, consistent Premier League football. They were probably just making a little bit too many mistakes between them. But since Craig Dawson's come in, a bit more experience next to him, he has been, a lot better. He was good last season, but I think that's mainly because he had, Connor Cody just barking orders at him all the time. So he was sort of in line, but had a little bit of a dip at the start of the year, but he's coming on a little bit now. But I know teams like Spurs, I saw Liverpool, I think this week linked with him, even Chelsea previously. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see, his situation from the summer onwards.
We'll put in a bid for him. We'll put in a bid for Kilman about August 31st and ask to pay the fee over 15
Expect
years.
a £10 million bid coming in very soon.
Yeah,
and a free ticket to the go-karts.
Yeah. No, maybe a family package for the go-karting, and 20 million spread over 5 centuries in terms of payment.
When's his contract up, Dave? Did you say Max Kilman?
I don't know off the top of my head. I would probably say he's got another 2-3 years on it, I think.
Oh, right. So we're going to have to pay for him then, yeah?
Yeah, you are, unfortunately. Yeah.
No chance. No chance whatsoever.
No, we'll be in for him when he's got 1 year left. That's what we do.
1 year left. We'll see you in 2 years on that one. Unless you drop to the Championship, because we like a tasty release clause. So, but I hope that doesn't happen, because I'm not sure my dad would like that very much. Standout players of the season, Dave. I mean, I know it's been a pretty rough one, but who are your your players that we need to watch out for?
I think Neves has been phenomenal. Even when in games that we've been poor in, I think Neves is probably still putting in 7 out of 10s every single week minimum. He's been absolutely phenomenal. He's another one that he's only got just over a year left on his deal now. Part of me is still hoping that he signs a new deal, but I think my head is saying that he's probably going to go in the summer. So just trying to enjoy him whilst he's here. Other than that, everyone's just been so hit and miss. Sarabia's coming on a little bit now. Started off quite poorly in January, but throughout February he was very, very good. One player that everyone's team, talks about a lot is Matheus Nunes in the midfield, and he came for a pretty hefty fee to for us in last summer. But again, he's so frustrating. He's been linked with a move already to Liverpool in the summer, but he's been awful the last few weeks. He's a player where...
What does he do? Yeah, what's he been doing wrong?
I think the issue with him was Bruno Lage was like criminally, he was playing him out of position basically. He was playing him more of a number 10, which I don't think works for him. I think he's a player that, likes to pick up the ball from deep, drive with it. Lopetegui's been using him every now and then as a left winger, which again, I don't think suits him at all. But he's just basic things he's doing wrong, like short passing, just a very, very sloppy player. But I think you've probably seen this a lot at Spurs over the years. When you watch him, he's a very, very good footballer, but he's just not showing his skills and qualities often enough. And it's so frustrating to watch. And it's almost as if he drops a 5 or 6 out of 10, you think next week he could drop a 10 out of 10. But I think I've been saying that since September. So I'm just waiting for it to happen. Like I said, I hope it's tomorrow, but it's one of those. Liverpool were linked with him, for us to only make a 5-10 million quid profit on him. But at this stage, after the last few weeks, I think Wolves fans would shake their hand and say, yeah, you feel free to take him in the summer.
Mm-hmm. HG, who do you fear from the Wolves team? Who are you worried about the most?
Eric Dier. Lloris got injured, so that obviously hurt Wolves' chances. But as I said, it's all about Spurs. It really is. Like anyone can score against Tottenham right now. So I couldn't pick one Wolves player. It could be their left wing back, the young kid. Was it Ainori? I don't know if he's injured, but it'd be someone like that to score from 20 yards against Spurs. I could see that happening. But it's about us. If we play well, we'll do okay. But there's no guarantee. So from a Wolves perspective, I think they're all probably licking their lips, aren't they?
Or their tongues, right?
No, that's what you would say.
I never said that. That's a quote from another podcast associated with Spurs. Dave, how do we go into this one? What do you think the lineup will be? Dave O, boring Dave, monotone Dave in Australia, Dave.
Aussie Dave.
Yeah.
Well, right. You're gonna have Davis at left wing back because he's done all right there. Is Emerson injured? Does he have a knock or something?
I think he has got a little knock. Yeah. Well, it said I just saw it flash up on the Spurs app today. Latest on Emerson's fitness, so I assume there is some problem.
Well, I'd go with the lineup that we had against Chelsea. I'd keep Richarlison, Son on the bench. I mean, it's difficult because I'd really think about starting Lucas Moura, but I'd have him on the bench. And I'd just start the 11 that we had against Chelsea at home.
Simple. That's simple for you, HG. Would you tweak anything?
Richarlison's not done too well, has he? Let's be honest. I think he played his part in the victories against West Ham and Chelsea. But considering what he did in midweek, at the risk of sounding like you, caller, can we give Danjuma a go down the left? That seems to be something that's slightly different. Why not do something different? Because we kind of know what we're going to get from everyone else, which is not much, frankly. If it's not Kane scoring, I don't see where are the goals coming from. Bentancur was getting a few. He's now injured. Hojbjerg has got a few, but you never know. And okay, Skipp scored last week, but that was his first ever. So if Wolves stop Kane, I don't see Richarlison being able to conjure up something by himself or Kulusevski right now. So Danjuma might be an option.
But he did attend that film premiere.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
what
we're going to
was
blame
it?
Levy for that as well. I'm just where are we going with this? Like,
But
isn't
hang on
it
a
film
minute.
premiere?
Hang on a second. If he attended a film premiere at the Levy Cinema Dome currently being built, how would the management deal with it then? There's an interesting question.
I'd probably Donna Cullen's son would be involved in any kind of disciplinary process.
Conflicts everywhere, my friend, in life.
Yeah, does appear.
Right. Let's get back to business. Talking Wolves, Dave, not Australia, Dave. Is this more or less how we expect you to line up?
Hugo Bueno might be out, right?
Yeah, Bueno's out injured, so Aït-Nouri will come in for Bueno. The rest of the back four and goalkeeper will be right. Neves and Lamino should start. Sarabia should start. I think Núñez will start, but probably more as a central midfielder. And I'd assume we'll see a winger come in for Matinho, so whether that be Pedence or Adama Traore. But yeah, Jimenez has been given a chance over the last couple of weeks, but we may well see Cunha come in back from his injury. So yeah, it'll be similar to that, but I think there will be some changes for Wolves, I think.
I've got to
So
say,
you're saying
is
that
just...
Wolves are no bueno, basically.
Yeah, no bueno.
No bueno.
I'll have a Kinder Bueno. What
Schmecked.
else? What else have we got? There we go. You need the points, don't you, Dave?
Yeah, I mean, it was after the Southampton game because we'd beaten Liverpool, we'd beaten Southampton. It was looking all right. I think we were sat sort of 13th, 14th in the league, but after the last couple of games, last few games dropping points, we sort of
Yeah, the
back in it
Bournemouth
again.
one was the shocker to me. I did not see that
Yeah,
coming.
we I don't know. Again, I think that was our goal scoring sort of frailties that let us down there because Bournemouth were very poor. But you look at the table on the right hand side. Sorry, it's still the rest of the season. We've still got to play Everton again. We've still got to play Leeds. We've still got to play Leicester, Forest, and Palace. All of those. So I know, like for Wolves fans, this game it'll really hurt if we lose or drop points again tomorrow. But the games that we need to win between now and the end of the season are those games for the teams around us.
And struggling to score goals as well. I mean, Ruben Neves, top scorer, along with Pedence, who, by the way, is just an absolute diving nuisance, or was when last I saw him at Spurs. Still is. So, yeah, struggling, and Neves gets booked a lot, apparently.
Yeah. I mean, you saw that 2 players on 5 goals and the rest on 1. It's a real issue for Wolves. At the minute.
So, Dr. Tottenham will see you now, basically.
Wait, I've changed my mind. Spurs are going to win. Do you know why? Because we won't be wearing the wetsuit. That's it. Out comes the blue third kit tomorrow. It's got to be. We won't play in white. We never play in white at Wolves.
It'll be wetsuit.
Right?
No, the wetsuit has
shorts.
a black lower shorts, exactly.
Yeah.
Black lower shorts.
Oh, good. So it must be the blue kit.
Yeah,
I'm
swimming.
imagining. I'm hoping. I'm guessing.
Why not the white kit?
If you go onto the Premier League Twitter, they normally around this sort of time of a Friday evening put out what kits the teams are wearing. So it might be out there if someone wants to check it out.
No, it's definitely not a wetsuit night.
Yeah.
Please, no,
Dave
no
is
more
scampering to his Spectrum ZX right now to search for that.
I get the cassette player going on the ZX81 and feverishly looking up what kit are we playing in. It's very important.
Dave's young. He's wondering what the hell we're talking about right now. So there we go. So we'd expect the same lineup. So let's do predictions then. Dave O, Australia. Let's go with you first. And anything you want to ask Mr. Talking Wolves while we've got Dave?
It's going to be 2-1 to Tottenham. And I think the general comment to Talking Wolves Dave is that he's probably going to be heading off soon. So would he rather spend some quality time with his girlfriend on a Friday night or hang out with 3 middle-aged men on YouTube? Not a tough choice.
Yeah, no.
Jack, be clear, I said 3 middle-aged men, Jack. I didn't say 4, all right?
Appreciate it.
That's it. That's all I got to say. Move on.
HG.
Dedication. That's what I mean. I said Oh, that's why I messaged you when you asked to come on. And I thought I am at the girlfriend's, but you've got to be dedicated to the cheese room, so that's what I'm doing.
You're an absolute.
Great
You
answer.
you are the visiting goat.
Yeah.
Don't tell our gunner friend because he thinks he is, but you
Do you
will
remember?
soon.
I think it was the
What do
first time I came on was the week after you played City.
Oh, yeah.
You had the City fan on. Yeah.
How could I forget? Yeah.
I mean,
video is legendary.
I mean, you made a really good point there, Wolves, Dave, because we couldn't have had a bigger contrast, right? Because as soon as somebody mentioned the year 2008, off he went. I don't know who said that to him.
I remember you tagged me, and everyone was just going on about it. I thought, what have I missed here? So yeah.
Yeah. But in contrast, every time you come on, very nice. Or, as I said, all we request is, can you just bring the lighting back in next time?
Yeah, I will.
Okay?
I'll make sure it's here next time. Sorry.
Thank you.
HG, your prediction? What are you saying?
Yeah, the kit will do it. 2-0 Spurs, no worries.
Oh, really?
We'll score in the first half. That's how crazy it will be tomorrow. We'll actually play some football in the first half and score.
So you've
2-0.
come full circle within the duration of the last 50
all about
minutes.
the kit. I hate that wetsuit kit so much. I really can't stand it. Every time I watch it, I'm like, it's like I'm not watching Spurs. I'm watching some computer graphic made by some 12-year-old who's never seen a game of football in his life, which is kind of how we played on
I think that's probably half the Premier League kit designers. So.
No, not much is as bad as that. I hate that wetsuit kit. I absolutely loathe it. So if the blue one comes out, yes, 2-0 Spurs.
I think Nike seems to hire anybody that hasn't, played a game of football clearly, or doesn't watch any games of football, because they want them to think outside the box with the kids. They really think outside the box. Yeah, oh yeah. We'll find a way to ruin anything. Don't you worry. We'll find a way.
Well, go for it then, Jack. Ruin this. It's your turn with the predictions.
I wish I could say 3-0, but I see 1-0 on the cards for Spurs here. I really do see a really ugly 1-0 where we really struggle to score against Wolves. Lopetegui is a very defensive manager, probably something that hasn't been mentioned, and I don't know if it really needed a lot of mentioning, but Lopetegui and Conte have played each other before, so I think that.
Jack, tell me, is more defensive than Conte?
Lopetegui, last season, yes. Like his team last season in Sevilla were like dreadful, like really, really poor. But I think that also has to do with just Sevilla going through like a bad spell at the moment as well. So a bit of yes and no. I think his team that made it to that Europa League final were an absolute thrill and an absolute pleasure to watch. I really liked that team. And like I said, that was before even I knew Reguilón was headed to Spurs or anything. I really liked Reguilón that season. So I would say he's, he can have a good attacking team. And even guys like Ait Nouri, who we mentioned earlier, have looked really good for him, kind of bombing forward and stuff. So he gets a good tune out of certain players. And to be honest, I would say Wolves have looked slightly more attacking of recent than they have under Bruno Lage and under Nuno as well. So there's that. My problem, though, is callers. I think Lopetegui and Conte have come up against each other in the past. So that could make it then that since they are kind of both defensive by nature and they've come up against each other in the past, and one of them has won a trophy over the other, could be a little kind of cagey. It could be kind of, slightly egos at cause here. So I think it could be a very cagey game. Very cagey.
Jack, Conte's not there. Stellini. 100%
yeah,
win
but then that
ratio
means
in the Premier League.
Stellini's probably going to be wearing the AirPod then, because Conte's going to be in his ear the whole game.
As long as he's got newer AirPods than that Sheffield United manager, by the way, the other night. They were down here, weren't they? I mean, he's probably a millionaire, that guy. What is he doing with those AirPods? Sort yourself out, have a word. I'm going to say
1-0 cagey game.
I'm going to say it's going to be a draw, 1-1. Just because I don't want to upset my dad. We're going to win. Let us know your predictions in the chat, guys. Talking Wolves, Dave, tell us what we should expect and what your prediction is going to be.
I don't know what to expect with Wolves at the minute, because we go from games like against Liverpool where, we come out of the blocks really quickly and, surprising with 2 early goals, and then we have games against Bournemouth where, it's almost the opposite. If Wolves can start off tomorrow quickly and put pressure on Spurs early on, I think we'll be absolutely fine. Early goal is key, I think, in this game for Wolves. But I'm not holding my breath. If we can get anything out of the game, I'll be delighted. Even a point. But in terms of prediction, my heart is saying 2 on Wolves, but my head is saying 2-0 Spurs.
2-0 Spurs, really? I mean, that doesn't happen very often. Actually, it's happened quite often.
And that was without the kit. He agreed with me.
We've just had 2-0 results in a row.
Yeah.
Okay. Dave, thanks for joining us. I know you've probably got better things to do based on the fact that you're at your girlfriend's house on a Friday evening. It's a pleasure to have you on the show. Thanks on behalf of the Cheese Room.
No,
you're welcome to hang around, by the way. I'm just guessing you probably don't want to.
No,
yeah.
Go and be with your girlfriend. Don't even give him the chance. Go and be with your girlfriend.
No, guys. No, thank you for having me, and fingers crossed. I'll see you guys next season again.
Top man, Dave.
Well, Dave.
Well, I'll be in touch after the game, depending on the result, Dave. So.
Yeah.
Nice to see you again, Dave.
Cheers, guys. Thanks a lot.
Take it easy, mate.
Cheers, guys.
Bye. Okay. So there we go. Lots of predictions coming in.
So I didn't find what kit we're going to be playing in, but I did find out who the referee is going to be.
Oh no! Hit me with it.
The referee is called Tim Robinson. Never heard of him.
That's a new one, isn't it, this season?
Didn't he open
this season? He's had, as far as I can tell, he's not reffed a Premier League game all season this year. This will be his first one. And he reffed a game a few years ago in the Premier League, and Steve Bruce hated him so much that he never reffed again that season. So, we'll see how it goes, but I'm now expecting red cards galore for some unknown reason.
I think he opened the batting for England in the 80s with Stuart Broad's dad, Chris Broad. So that's what happened there.
That Tim Robbins, that's who it is. Okay.
That's who it is.
It's just unbelievable, really, isn't it? But there you go. It is what it is. Are
we predicting the scores for the other games?
Yes, hold your horses, Dave. I'm still aware there is a run sheet to follow. He's getting so excited. Look at that monotone man getting thrilled. But before which, Antonio Conte, apparently he's not going to be back now until the AC Milan game. Thoughts on that, Davo?
Well, I haven't had my gallbladder removed. I can't imagine it's too much of a laugh. It's we're in the end game now, aren't we? He's not going to be here once his contract. Well, we've got an option. We've got an option to extend it, but it's not going to happen. He's on his way. Poch is coming back.
Have you resigned yourself to that? Have you?
Yeah, I have. I think it's a ridiculous decision. It never works when you come back for a second time, apart from Defoe.
Robbie Keane. Jack.
Keane. No.
Jack, are you upset about this, or Conte coming back for AC Milan? Would you like him to stay away longer, permanently, maybe?
I'm not in that sort of camp at all, so I'm not going to be able to satisfy anybody that wants me to answer it that way. I'm still sticking by Conte, whether you think I'm foolish, stubborn, or silly, maybe all three at once. That's okay.
Just American, really.
Well, those are common.
Hopelessly optimistic.
I'm born with all those three characteristics. But I would say no, I'm not at all. Saddened or I want Conte back, but I'm not going to be as disappointed as others, that he's returning sooner rather than later. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not in the complete Conte out train, maybe like others are. So, unfortunately, I can't give as good of an answer.
Like me. And HG, finally leaving on you with that. What do you think about this Conte not back till not finally, because we've got loads more of the show to go, but in terms of Conte, pleased or not pleased?
It's a non-event to me. I mean, we've beaten Man City and Chelsea and West Ham without him. No, I mean, I agree with Stellini that he's been a big part of it. He's just been in Italy, but I don't like. Okay, I frankly I don't really care. I just want us to win. That's the important thing. If Conte comes back on Wednesday and we win, brilliant. If he comes back on Wednesday and we lose, I don't care about the fact he came back. It's the fact that we lost is important to me. So. Yeah, it's not even a story in my eyes.
Right, I need some more ice, so it's now time for Dave's favourite part of the show while I clear off and get some ice so he can present this bit because he's all into this. He's looking very confused. Are you still there, Dave?
Yeah, I got
So here you
finally.
go.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Well done.
He lost his
Before-
Irving Scholar book.
Yeah, that's why I have a scholar book.
Yeah, I'll be
Okay.
right back.
Oh, the first game of the weekend is the sports washing derby. So you know, this is going to be interesting.
Which nation state are we going for, lads?
Yeah, which nation state? I mean, where's the price of oil at in the overnight markets, or where are we up to? Man City with Newcastle. I think Man City will win 2-1.
I look at that and think, which result could hurt Spurs the most? Clearly, Newcastle winning and Man City losing would be a double whammy. So, yeah, 2-1 Newcastle. Can't score for toffee, but they'll beat the champions.
Newcastle at the moment, unless they do turn it around, have really struggled to score goals. I do believe Nick Pope is still out for this one as well. So, and Man City look like they are kind of getting into that cruise control sort of stage. So I'm actually going to say Man City win this like 3-0. Because Newcastle, I would say at the moment, are potentially either capable of slipping up a lot or they could turn this around. And Man City, it's kind of do or die.
So, I can say, all logic says Man City will win, right? But we're Spurs. So therefore, what hurts Spurs the most?
Oh, yeah, your
will
logic
happen.
made sense. I mean, what logic hurts Spurs, or what game, what result hurts Spurs the most?
So
that makes sense.
just expect Newcastle to win. Just expect it. It will help you. It will help you if you expect it beforehand. And if Man City win by 4 or 5, like they probably should, okay, we've not lost. The whole point about it is trying to find a way that you don't lose emotionally in football. You can win.
We're at that stage of the season.
Win less. That is the point of being a fan. Sorry.
So there you go. The next one is the Premier League champions 22-23 season elect Gooners from the South London versus where Harry Redknapp lives in Sandbanks, Bournemouth. So I think the Gooners are going to win this about 4 or 5-0, and their march to the title continues.
Yeah, we move on. Arsenal will win. I mean, I thought they beat Everton by 3 and they beat them by 4. Who knows? Could be a cricket score if Arsenal play well. So Arsenal will win for sure.
Self-elected champions win 2-0, I'd say 3-0. Yeah, big score line potentially.
So we're up to caller Gooners versus Bournemouth.
Sports washing derby, Man City 3-1. I think Newcastle have fallen off the bandwagon, and I didn't realise that fixture was this weekend. So that could provide us with a lot of wiggle room actually if we win at Wolves. So it's quite a key game, isn't it? Goons.
Yeah, us winning at Wolves would be key. Yes.
They're just gonna walk it, aren't they?
Yeah.
Even a draw though, HG. Even a draw puts another point, between us. So I'd take a draw at Wolves. Anyway, go on. Aston Villa versus Crystal Palace. Davo.
Palace have looked dodgy this season. They're really missing Conor Gallagher, who hardly gets a game for Chelsea. I think Villa will win this 2-0. Ollie Watkins is in a bit of good form at the moment as well.
I'd agree with that. Logic says Villa will win. They've had good results in the main since Emery took over. Palace are struggling because Vieira is not a good manager. So yeah, you'd have to put your money on Villa. I mean, Palace could easily win it 2-0, 3-0. They're one of those teams. But if I was going to bet, Villa, absolutely.
And Jack.
Villa 1-0. Like the Villa are a very confusing team this season, as are Crystal Palace. But I'll say they win 1-0.
And I'm going to say a Villa win. Yeah, I think 1-0, 2-1. 2-1 home win. That's always a good one. Brighton versus West Ham, Davo.
Brighton, a lovely part of the country. Big fan of Brighton versus West Ham, which has a location. I'm going Brighton 2-0.
Brighton 2-0. HG?
Yeah, I mean, again, logically, you'd see home win here. Brighton tend to get victories against teams that you don't think they will do, and then they trip up against teams that they should beat, and West Ham would be one of those. But I still think, Mitoma will score in the last 10 minutes of the game, and Brighton will win 1-0.
Okay, and Jack?
David Moyes bought himself some extra time yet again. I say he loses it, though, and then puts himself in trouble yet again. So I'm going to say they lose, actually, an embarrassing 3-1.
I'm going to say...
West Ham get battered everywhere they go.
Yeah, I think that's a draw. I think West Ham are picking up a little bit of form. I think it's going to be a 2-2 Desmond. Let's go to the next slide. Chelsea versus Leeds, Davo. Chelsea can't buy a goal right now.
This has got 1970s football hooliganism written all over this game. A bit of biffo in the wine bars of Chelsea before the game. Leeds, I think Leeds, I remember when we played Leeds at home before the break, and they should have won it. And they played at times during the game, they played really attractive football. But the defensive discipline is pretty poor. So I think 1-1.
1-1 HG.
Chelsea, sadly. I like what Dave said. I don't trust Leeds defensively. They're playing the Austrian guy, Wöber, who is garbage. Who is Leeds' manager? Is that old Watford guy, right? Yeah, no. Chelsea will find a way to scrape it. 1-0, maybe 2-0 with an own goal from Leeds, but it's Chelsea will win.
Sorry, just saying it's the old Watford guy doesn't really narrow it down.
True.
There's a lot of old Watford guys, so
Which one of the last 2 years?
It's the guy whose name looks like Garcia but actually isn't. So
I feel like they've had 3 Garcias in the last 2 years.
Oh, that one. Oh, I know what you mean. Yeah.
That's all clear. It's all clear. Yeah.
Javi. I know what you're getting at, but yeah, Chelsea will win.
Jack?
They've lost to Southampton. They lost to Spurs. I believe they've had a long rivalry with Leeds in the past. I say they draw this one, 1-1. I actually think they could continue to drop points, Chelsea. I see no sign in them turning it around. And also at home, let's be honest, if they don't come out the gates, the crowd could be all over them and sending more death threats to Graham Potter. So I see 1-1.
Yeah, I agree. I think it'd be a draw. 1-1 sounds good to me. Wolves Spurs we've already done. Southampton, rounding it off, Southampton versus Leicester.
So Wednesday night, Thursday morning, as I was keeping up to date with the Sheffield United game on the BBC app, and then watching Southampton lose at home to Grimsby, I was all good to go on a WhatsApp group. I got quite a few Southampton mates. I was all good to go with fishing rods and fishing jokes and this, that, and the other. And obviously, I couldn't do any of that, could I? So Southampton are going down. Leicester, I think Leicester will win 2-1.
2-1. HG.
This is the famous 9-0 game, isn't it, from a few years ago?
Oh, yeah. That's right.
I like Southampton are poor, very poor, but we all know what Leicester are like.
Up and down. Up against us, down against everyone else.
Southampton can beat Chelsea, they can beat Leicester. I hate Brendan Rodgers, so Southampton 4-0.
Do you?
No, actually no, hate is a strong word. Overrated charlatan is probably where I feel about him. So 4-0 Southampton.
LinkedIn manager.
Jack?
No.
Don't get him started. Jack?
3-1 Leicester. Southampton are quite poor. Time for Spurs to maybe look at some shopping of some of the Southampton players. Maybe a certain Bella Coach app I would take.
I think it's got Leicester win written all over it, this one. I don't think I can see anything other than that. Southampton are so bad right now.
Who's
that last week? We said that 2 weeks ago when they beat Chelsea.
True.
Yeah, we did. We did actually. Who's the Southampton?
Well, good luck finding somebody that hasn't beat Chelsea in a while. So I think it's the situation.
Okay. And then Sunday football, we've got Forest versus Everton, Davo.
Forest to win 3-0, Serge Aurier hat-trick.
Beautiful. HG, he's getting bored, Davis. That's it's got
Arise, Sir Jorge.
Like, I'm looking at these games on Sky this week and thinking, what a load of tosh. All of them. Who wants to watch Forest versus Everton? And the game that we just talked about that I've already forgotten, Southampton against Leicester. Who's
To
going
be
to watch
fair,
those
Liverpool
games?
Man
What a load
United's
of
not a
rubbish.
bad one, is it? But yeah, anyway, go on.
But I mean, like, I think Everton will win because Forest will somehow try and name 13 players out of their 74-man squad and somehow come unstuck. So Everton somehow probably don't really care.
Jack?
This is a game for the football purists. I would say Sean Dyche somehow gets it. I say he gets a 1-0 result. Steve Cooper maybe put back in trouble.
I think Forest are going to win. I think it'll be Forest 2, Everton 0. I think I like Steve Cooper and I don't like Everton very much. So there you go.
But Everton have beaten the champions of the league this season. We have to remember this.
I don't have to.
Well,
we just did.
knowledge,
did.
Paula. You should try it sometime.
No, I'd rather live in ignorance. Liverpool versus Man United. Davo.
Liverpool Man United 4:30 kickoff on a Sunday afternoon. The traffic from Surrey
It's going to clash with the Formula One. That is. I'll be watching the Formula One.
The go-karting. Oh, I mean, proper Formula One. Sorry. Liverpool Man United. Man United having won, the Freehandle Cup last weekend, overseen by a manager who our ownership thought didn't interview very well and got Nuno instead. Liverpool are awful at the back. I fancy United to win it 1-0.
HG, this is a tasty one, to be fair. Liverpool picking up a head of steam. Man United steamrolling everyone.
Hang on a second.
So,
So I just cut in a minute. Sorry. Liverpool picking up a head of steam. They just beat Wolves at home in the week. That's not my definition of a head of steam, is it?
They're full
yeah, but Caller's dad is watching. Caller's dad is watching.
Sorry.
Biggest result of Liverpool's season, that one. How could you?
I think they've won quite a few recently, haven't they, Liverpool? They're certainly picking up form.
I may watch this. I'll be looking to see what other games are on around Europe Sunday afternoon. Man United are a better side right now, I guess. So, but it's at Anfield, 1-1. Everyone loses, nobody wins. Perfect.
And Jack?
I actually think this could be another Liverpool funeral. I'm going to go 3-1 United.
Okay.
I'm going to say Man United look very good at the moment. Liverpool look like somehow almost as bad as a defense as ours. Like their defense is just as shoddy as ours. So I could see them losing 3-1.
And they've got Virgil van Dijk in there who cost 80 million. But I mean, I'm going to say this: they beat Everton at home. They beat Newcastle away.
Yeah, but this is the Newcastle one I remember watching, and Newcastle, we're down to 10 men. Newcastle were down to 10 men in like the 15th minute, and they still made it look tough. Like Liverpool made it look tough to keep out.
I'm sure we could make it look tougher.
That's what I mean. So that they're losing 3-1.
I suppose my point is they've at the last 4 Premier League games they've won 3, drawn 1, so they are picking up a head of steam. But I see this as a win for Man United. Actually, I think 2-1. Rashford to get me some more fancy football points. Davo, I am coming for you. Brentford versus Fulham. Dave.
Yeah, Mitrovic has gone a bit quiet recently. I think I'm thinking about getting rid of him this weekend. So that means 3-0 Fulham, Mitrovic hat-trick.
Come on.
I think the odds are that Tony will get a couple of goals. 2-1 Brentford.
Okay.
Every week, same joke.
Can Tony play? Is he still available?
He's still available at the moment. He hasn't had his ban yet.
No.
So even though he's admitted doing it,
I think they're having an inquiry. I think what will happen is Spurs will sign him, and then he'll have a 6-match ban. Most likely, it'll kick in then.
Yes, as a half Brentford fan, I will want Brentford to win. But again, I think another boring draw. None of these games excite me in the slightest. Not even Spurs. So yeah, 0-0 Brentford Fulham. Watch it on Sky.
And Jack?
West London derby. I'm going to say Mitro's on fire. 2-1 Fulham win.
Well, I'm going to say a Brentford 2-1 home win, I think. So I will have to watch all that back to get your scores down. So when I next speak to you on the show, I can tell you all you're wrong and I'm right.
I'm going to say one thing about Brentford. They've had the longest unbeaten run in the league, right? I think Brentford are on a massive unbeaten run, like 11 games or something like that. Okay. So obviously, whoever beat them last time will be the team that breaks the streak this time. I don't know who that is. Someone watching might well figure that out.
I thought that's where you were going with this whole thread.
Yeah, no. If it was Fulham that did it last time, I'll back Fulham again tonight. It's just one of those bookend things you often see in football where, you know, the last time we lost at home was against some team, and then this team shows up and they beat us again for no real reason. It's just one of those things. But otherwise, 0-0.
Well, look, there's 120 odd people watching. Make sure you've smashed that like button and hit the subscribe and join the conversation. I don't know who's put that. That is a seriously good-looking bloke, but we appear to have replaced Dave with his Sky Sports mic. Not sure why. Do join us over at patreon.com/Cheese Room Podcast. It's exclusive content, prizes and discounts, a chat group for in-game and other activities, Cheese Room merch, fantasy football, all for £3 a month. It is fantastic. And if you're not already a patron, get over there and have a look at our offering. Right, let's talk about other Spurs news. This is where, if you've got some questions for the panel, stick them in the chat. We've got a good bit of time left at the end of the show, so stick them in the chat and we will get to your questions. I've also, funnily enough, got a little bit of stuff on my run sheet in terms of Spurs news. So, in other news, Juventus and its directors, Paratici, have filed an appeal against the penalties. I hate to say I told you so, but Paratici will be in the job for a lot longer than you think, Davo. I think that appeal process will take quite a while. Paratici to stay there beyond next season. Can I get good odds on that, Jack?
I think the Don will stick around. I think he's going to find his way. You know, he's Italian. He's cooking the books. I imagine he's found the best lawyers imaginable, some of the sleaziest, some of the crookiest lawyers possible to get himself out of this. So I think he's going to stick around.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that.
I'd say 5-year spell at Spurs, and then he gets caught for a second spell of cooking the books in which he's permanently banned.
Davo, for a contrasting view on Paratici.
Well, surely there's a clause in the contract that says there should be some kind of morality clause. If you get done doing something you shouldn't be doing, out you go. So it's a joke. It's got to go.
It was in Danjuma's contract for seeing a movie.
HG is the voice of reason. Do you think that he needs to stick around, or should he go, as Davo says?
Well, again, I guess if they're appealing it, then it's like any old situation. He'll cling on as long as he can. There's a lot of money in it for him. But as I've said before in the show, like if they ban him, what exactly does that mean? Has he got some kind of tag on his ankle that he can't leave the house or he can't use a phone? Like it's mental. Like he'll just get one of his minions to do his work for him. So I don't really see much of an influence on anything. It will just go down that, I can't actually do anything, but of course he will. Everyone knows he will.
Yeah, absolutely. Meanwhile, Tottenham scout, probably a Paratici appointment, I think it was, Jeff Vetteri has left the club after he infuriated his employers by revealing transfer targets during a television interview in South America. Brendan McGurty, we want to make clear, had nothing to do with this. Spurs chiefs were astounded when Vetteri, formerly of Real Madrid and Newcastle, spoke about players he liked and those the club were watching, including our number one goalkeeping target in South America. His conduct has been deemed to be unprofessional by the board, and he was openly discussing the inner workings of their recruitment department. That must have taken about 3 seconds, mustn't it, Davo? Oh,
Yeah, because they got this database at the club where when they're
database.
freezing, they got
You're back
yeah
now.
they got database. Sorry, database. Yeah, they got this database at the club. This massive alarm goes off when the player's contract's got 1 year to go. It's like massive alarm goes off, and that's the scouting system.
A brighter font.
So apparently,
Helvetica 99 comes up.
So apparently, this guy only joined the club in September. He was on a probationary period anyway. Close relationship with Paratici. What do we think of this, Jack?
It's good to see Paratici has sent some people out to South America. Clearly, he can't keep his excitement to himself with some of the players that he's scouting for Paratici. He can't hold it in. So he's had to be reprimanded for it. I think he's just clearly missed the memo that the way Spurs operate is keeping everything, under wraps. It's always about, Spurs are thinking about, Spurs are casually thinking about, Spurs are considering approaching, those sort of keywords. Monitoring.
That's
I think
the favorite.
He just didn't use one of those keywords that we all use, and that's where I think they booked it and deemed it unprofessional. You have to use one of those keywords. We're monitoring the Colombian goalkeeper, but he said we like the Colombian goalkeeper. That's a no-go. You can't say that.
Yeah. Seems a bit crazy, doesn't it, HG, that you'd be a scout giving an interview to a mainstream TV channel in South America and then naming your top targets, doesn't it? Bit odd.
Yeah, but I mean, by sacking him, the club have basically said that what he said was true. They could have just denied it, right? And just like, okay, you say whatever you want, but they admitted almost by sacking him. But again, I don't really care. Like if we're following some 21-year-old keeper from Colombia, like the issue is probably that more than the fact that the guy in recruitment said, "Oh, we like this guy, some Spanish guy, some Colombian kid called Kevin." Like it's almost made up. Like, would you really believe that?
Was he really called Kevin?
Huh?
Was he called Kevin?
Yeah. No. Have you not done your research? Kevin, was it Mier or something?
Clearly, you haven't done it either.
No, I don't know. I don't speak Spanish. But the point is that if he's talked about all of these things, and yet all you can find out is one name, like the whole thing just screams bollocks, frankly. Mm. Like, I don't believe a word of it. It's probably a cover for something else. I'm more likely to believe that than I am that this random bloke who no one apparently likes, who no one really knows too much about, has been fired for giving an interview that nobody's seen. Like, what?
It's all a smokescreen to cover up our close relationship with the F1.
It's a bit too Tory, if I can say that. But no, bollocks, all of it.
I mean, the thing is, right? I mean, can you imagine this content of this Colombian television show that one of their special guests that night is a scout from Tottenham Hotspurs on a probation period. He's a bit thin on content, that show, don't you reckon?
I reckon the Cheese Room's got more content than that. Join us Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 9 p.m. In other news, Daniel Levy is expected to attend the Bahrain Grand Prix this weekend as part of Formula One's tie-in with Tottenham. Sport sources have told Football Insider. Spurs signed its first-of-a-kind 15-year deal with Formula One earlier this week, which will see an electric karting facility in London's biggest indoor track installed at the 62,850-seater stadium. You'll never sing that. I mean, what is this all about, Dave? I'm going to come to you on this first because you are very passionate about revenue generation at the club. So tell us your thoughts on this wonderful move. And let us know what you think in the chat. If you're watching this on catch-up, let us know what you think in the comments of Spurs dipping their toe in the karting world.
What I think I find about most disturbing of the picture of Levy in Bahrain today is he's wearing this kind of like white T-shirt, which is a bit tight on him. And when he gets to a certain age, you shouldn't be wearing tight white T-shirts. So that's my advice to.
Is he a similar age to you?
I think he is. Yeah.
No, yeah, Levy's like 60. David's not 60. He's barely 50.
Levy's 60.
Oh, is Levy 60?
I think he was born early 60s. Yeah.
what a dark day for the Globe that was. And but I just feel like he's timeless. He just goes on and on and on. He's like, anyway, yeah. Look, just sell the thing. Just sell it to someone who can just be normal and think about football and not go karting. Yeah, stop wearing them. No, exactly. On the Tuesdays. Yeah, he's out there. Just sell the club, please.
You'll normally find Davo wearing a parka, to be fair.
I always wear a parka.
See, there you go. Yeah.
Exactly.
In the sunshine.
In the sunshine.
I haven't got your views on this, Gentleman Jack. What is your view on the karting arena? Will you be partaking in a bit of Formula One go-kart action when you next hop across the pond?
I wish so. I don't think it'll be built yet for me, so I'll have to make a second trip to make my return. I'm actually coming over this weekend. I'll be there Sunday night, late Sunday night.
Really?
Yes, I will.
Know that.
Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
So, unfortunately, Levy hasn't done the decency to build the Formula One track in advance of my arrival, but I'll be there next time for it. I would say the one thing I'm a bit confused about all the uproar is that this, out of all of the sponsorship deals, out of all of the brand deals, out of all of the partnerships that Levy has negotiated, this one seems to have, I would say, more positives, if you will, if you were to draw positives from it than the others. You could say, like, the brand deals and the sponsorships with the likes of the NFL, with Beyonce concerts, etc. I would say those are a bit more kind of self-interested sort of partnerships. Like, they really only benefit Spurs and they really only benefit the club and its sort of revenue drives. Whereas this one, in a way, is giving back to the community in kind of two different ways. Just like something to do, I think, in the local area, but also something also for, I think, what is it, that local driver and apprenticeship program that's going to be developed for, I'll be honest, I've grown up in inner cities my entire life. I was never able to golf. I was never able to do go-karting. I was never able to do those sort of things. It would be quite nice if actually there was that sort of, access or that sort of thing available to maybe kids in that sort of, more urban, sort of setting. So I actually think if you were to get mad out of any of the partnerships, out of any of the brand deals that Spurs have done, I would think this would not be the one to get as mad about. I would say you should get more mad about the soap and the conditioner one that we did, maybe.
I mean, hang on. Whoa. Hang on.
Don't you dare Molten Brown. Don't you dare.
The soap sponsor is Molten Brown. That's my brand. I
There's a low blow of mine. Low blow.
You've really hurt my feelings. I love Molten Brown. It's all I'll use in my house. But yeah, I mean, I think what a lot of people who maybe don't watch F1 don't get is that F1 have been looking for types like this for quite a while, because if you're an F1 driver, you're generally from a very privileged background right now. And part of the purpose of this is to identify talent that is not from that privileged background. Now, look,
there's nothing really wrong with that. Like, you can't really get mad about that. Like,
you can't really get mad about that. They're trying to do a good thing.
So Daniel Levy's legacy is bringing go-karting to the masses. Exactly. Is that what you're telling me?
No, that's what's in it for F1. F1 want the sport to be more diverse, so it's more popular. That's the bottom line, isn't it? And I think they've been looking for a type for a long time. It's a very interesting concept, running it round Steve Diver's personal car park. I think that's interesting. I can't really see it as a bad thing. I
just think the other brand deals are more self-interested for Spurs. Like, you imagine that, like, the local area is.
Can we leave Molten Brown out of this?
I'll leave that one out. But maybe Beyonce concerts, right? A lot of traffic, a lot of late night noise. Just extra sort of traffic and
revenue for the local area.
But I just think it feels like the NFL games and the Beyonce concerts. I can't speak for the local area, but I would imagine those are a bit more annoying to have to deal with than like just a go-kart rink that's there daily for people to access on a day off as well. Like, think about, it's not like as expensive as Beyonce concert or anything. It's something that almost anybody could probably afford on a day off as well. So there's that too. I just don't think it's as bad as maybe, or it's like I said, self-interested as maybe the other brand deals that we do.
HG, who do you think is the best go-kart racer amongst the Tottenham players then?
Well, definitely not Hugo. Lucas, because he doesn't really care about what's around him. He's just going to go straight forward at every opportunity.
Blind alleys.
Yeah.
Well, what about when it comes to corners?
Well, we don't have anyone who can take a corner, so they're all going to crash. Is that what you're going for? Yeah, like...
Which one of the players has a piloting license? Because they're guaranteed there's always one guy that has like a piloting license or something like that in the team.
The private jet was owned by Enic.
That's the thing for those guys. They like, what is it? Even there was that guy, Hinteregger, was like a helicopter driver or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Neuer is a big ski guy. I don't know. They're into sometimes the extreme sports. I could see Kane, honestly. I could see Kane being... It sounds cliche.
Good at everything.
Good at everything. You could see him being a white knuckle kind of guy, behind
he's the annoying kid at school that is good at everything, isn't he? Like any type of sport whatsoever.
Cooler. That's not why kids didn't like him, my friend. I know you've been telling me.
Because I was good at everything.
I think it'd be quite comedic because you'd all imagine Romero to be an absolute nutter driving around like an absolute nutter. But the comedic side of it, he's a really slow conservative driver. He's like, oh, you're going too fast.
He's South American. If you see the way they drive, I think this guy's the one to watch. Emerson, I reckon he would be out of control on a go-kart course,
and obviously
even more so than a football pitch.
And obviously, Davinson Sanchez, when he's getting into the go-kart, slips over. Doesn't actually get in it. That's what happens on that one.
You've got to have a laugh, haven't you? I think after Wednesday night, we're all a bit depressed, and I hope we've uplifted you slightly tonight. Speaking of uplifting, the great news is number one England internationals contract renewal looks like it's going to get over the line. So how do you feel about Eric Dier extending his contract, Jack?
Disgusted. Feels like just more Sheffield United results on the way.
I'm not sure.
I'll be honest. I don't know. It's more or less the end of the evening. I don't want to ruin anybody's evening, but I think he's probably had the best ever years under Antonio Conte, which sort of then shows that he should have never been given the original contract extensions that he had been given. And he also doesn't take up an English homegrown spot either compared to Davies. He takes up a foreign spot. So when he's also taking up a foreign spot, then you get to compare him to the rest of the world of center backs that you have at your disposal to choose from. So when it's that case, I'd take Indica, I'd take Araujo from Barcelona, you'd take Max Kilman, you would take anybody ahead of Eric Dier because he doesn't even have the benefit of a homegrown spot, to help him out. So I don't know. I'm disgusted.
Do you think the reason we're extending his contract is probably more to do with keeping some value in the player, HG, rather than the fact that we want to keep him till 2026 at the heart of our centre defence?
But surely the value would be if anyone wants to buy him and no one has any money outside the Premier League. It just, I get it, but I also don't get it. It's a bit mental. Weirdly enough, extending Dier's contract doesn't pain me. I'm not fussed about it. I feel like the entire show I haven't really given a crap today. But if he gets another couple of years, okay. If he's playing every week, that's the problem more than anything else. But we talk about these foreign spots. We haven't filled them right now. So do you know what I mean? Like we've got extra foreign spots now that we could have used on Reguilon or Dombele or Lo Celso or half the people that we've got out on loan. So if the manager will use him at some point, he will be of benefit to us. Although, as I said, if I'm Dier, I'd be thinking I've done my 8-9 years at Spurs. Let's try and go somewhere else. If it was me, unless is he wedded to London because of his other businesses? Who knows? But
it is a strange one, isn't it? I mean, he's a very average centre back. Let's be honest. I loved him in midfield when he was the DM. He seemed to, the Pochettino system. He seems to have lost, pace through injuries, and he's got the turning circle of an oil rig, as I'm aptly reminded by Matt Gibbons every week. Go on,
an oil rig can't turn. It's an
Yes,
oil
it can.
tanker.
No,
It's
an
an
oil
oil-
rig. Oil rigs
But-
do move, you know.
They're inanimate objects.
No, they
Yeah,
move.
no, but I mean, Dave's right. The phrase was always oil tanker. I don't
No,
know
I
why
know.
people always come up with oil rig.
Well, because he's
it's
from the
mental.
west. Number
Well,
one,
it's-
because he's from the West Country.
His turning
And the-
radius is slightly slower than an oil tanker, so it'd be disrespectful maybe to oil tankers.
That's exactly right. Yeah, exactly right. We found something slower at turning than an oil tanker. It was an oil rig. There you go. There you go. Look, Steve is there with the facts.
Yeah, but so are we saying that Dier is fixed? That's the problem. No, but the thing is, when Dier was good, it was all about winning the ball and then giving it to someone else. And right now, he's only doing half of that, and half of that is bad, right? So it's no. I was a Dier fan for a very long time, and I do like him as a person. I think he's probably a really good guy, but. You know, it's been 9 years. We need to change something up.
We love a
And if
really
he was-
good guy, though, don't we? We love a really good guy.
No, but no. To be fair, no, because Lamella was a shit. But I just no. It's I'm done with it. Like we know what we have with him. It's not like with Lucas where you could dream of maybe one day you'd see something world class. With Dier, you know, he's either a 7 or he's a 6. That's it. Like he's never going to give you a 9. He's never going to be the best player on the pitch. Weirdly enough, he was better going forward on Wednesday night than flipping Son was. So maybe he's in the wrong position. But I feel like he's better when he doesn't have the ball at his feet. And as a centre back in our system, he is. You know, he does have the ball at his feet, and that's a problem.
Davo?
He's won his best season when he was when he played DM in the third place title race season against Leicester. Because Wayne Yama had 2 years left on his contract and we wouldn't pay the money and we waited for the following year. And then the following year, Wayne Yama and Dembele were unless we played 3 centre backs, he was in and out of the team. So, you know, even last year when he had his renaissance under Conte, I always said that I said last summer we get a top quality left footed centre back and Davis is the squad player. And then this summer get another top quality centre back and Dier becomes a squad player. So you have Davis and Dier as squad players, and you have an upgrade in those positions for starting. And Longley goes back to Barcelona, very sadly.
You do sound sad about that, but I think
I'm winning up. It's just sweet triste.
I think he's finding his form at the right part of the season, to be honest. Eric
Longley?
Dier, yeah. Eric Dier. Why? There's a reason we lost Wednesday night. Longley wasn't playing. Eric Dier. Why is it every Tottenham manager seems to love him? Pochettino pretty much, wrote a poem for him. Conte values him. Mourinho wanted to keep him there forever, and Ryan Mason is his mate. So, Jack, why is it that we all see something different to Tottenham managers?
I don't think there's a solid core reason as to why Eric Dier has stuck around as long as he has. I think there is a few different reasons, but one of them being, I do think, is the fact that he's been commonly referred to as one of the more intelligent guys in the team, just a very well-spoken sort of person. And so I imagine then he probably receives the tactics or the instructions quite well from his managers. Maybe he is quite tactically astute, despite being a bit of a poor footballer and a bit of a bad center back. He might be tactically astute and can kind of like receive the instructions well enough to convince the manager that he is worth picking and worth relying upon. He also has, as we know, a bit of charisma with the squad and seems to have that sort of quote unquote sort of leadership sort of kind of aspect to him. I don't really believe in it, but so it's what we've heard. And maybe that's part of it, is the fact that he is maybe easier to instruct, easier to, put the tactics onto. And then players like that, maybe while they might lack certain abilities, they might lack certain talent that other players have, the fact that they probably listen to the manager more gives them that leg up. Maybe he's a bit of a teacher's pet. And then another thing too, I think, is just the fact that, let's be honest, I mean, how much competition has actually been brought into the center back position? I mean, barely any. Sanchez, Romero, Longley are kind of some of the only center backs that I recall that we've ever brought in to actually challenge Eric Dier. Like, Eric Dier has never really been properly challenged. There's never really been anybody brought into the team that could really, quote unquote, go after and take his spot. Joe Rodon maybe, but that's also still like a huge, ask. So
Joe Rodon,
if anything, he's
also
just
wank.
yeah, who's
He's
also
always been
terrible.
wank.
So I just think maybe he's never been given good enough competition. He's better than most of the competition he's come up against, but let's be honest, that was also, like HG said, wank competition that he's come up against. So I think it's a bit of him being it's a bit of him being a teacher's pet, and it's a bit of him having no competition at all. So it's both of those, I think.
Well, when he didn't get in the team, it's because you had Jan and Toby there. Go much better players, and that's
when he wasn't playing then. And then and then when they left, I believed he blamed it on Pochettino or something to Jose. He said it had to do with like his injury recoveries or something like that, something stupid.
Yeah, so but he likes art galleries and photo exhibitions as well. So and I think he's got a restaurant app. If you go to different cities, you can. Diver would like him because there's a restaurant app. So any bovine related restaurants would be there in a flash.
Sid Diver's been in the chat earlier, so that's good. So maybe you haven't completely escaped Jack, but so much so that you're flying back here.
I'm flying away from him.
Away from him. In fairness, he might be flying back. He might be on your flight. Can you imagine that coincidence if Diver's on your flight?
He doesn't seem like a guy that would fly American, but if he's
willing to fly American,
he's I doubt
lowering his standards. I see.
I doubt flying.
If you hear someone clicking his fingers in first, going, that's not rare enough. It's
Diver's flying to Paris. Did you not check? He flew out.
Of course,
Paris.
Layover, of course.
Well, he might not.
But I would say I'm surprised
he's via Iceland or something.
American and United Airlines are the airlines that are known for dragging their passengers off of planes. So I am quite surprised he's lowered his standards to that one. So.
Well, now you're in our chat group, you'll hear all about it, Jack. All about it. Welcome.
I've heard they don't serve ribeyes in first class on them.
He'll always find something. Bless him.
He doesn't do castle class on the plane. He just chases them. He's probably running the balls of Brooklyn as we speak now. If you look out the window, you'll see him down there. It's that place in Spain. Yeah.
He'll be down at Wall Street thinking that bull's real, whipping it, get his carving knife out. Look, it's been a pleasure to have you all on. We've been going for an hour and 41 minutes, so I'm going to call it there. Davo, thanks for joining us all the way from the land down under. You better run, you better take cover.
Yeah, it's data or data. It's data down here. Wherever you say it, up northern hemisphere.
Data.
It's data.
Yeah. Data.
So there you go. Lovely to be on. Lovely spending some quality time with you. Wonderful people and all the cheeseheads. And looking forward to another week in the life of Tottenham Hotspurs Football Club.
Absolutely. Jack, thanks for joining all the way from Brooklyn. It's a pleasure as ever. Are you getting to a game while you're over here?
I'm just seeing the AC Milan game.
I'm now wounded that I've sold my ticket because I would love to catch up, but
if you're there for the Forest game, I'll be there for that one as well.
Yeah, sold that as well.
I don't blame you.
Gotta work. Yeah, but maybe if you're near the South Midlands,
did you sell it to Jack? Is that this missing link that we have only just figured out?
No, I didn't.
It'd be nice.
No, I didn't. No, I promised I'd sell it to the person I sit next to at the game, who's a really lovely chap. And then, unfortunately, I didn't pull it off the seating app in time, and it sold. So I'm in the doghouse and I haven't fessed to it yet. But that's another story. HG, thanks for joining me.
No problem. I really enjoyed saying everything's going to be shit this weekend.
Yeah, we really enjoyed you saying everything's going to be shit this week.
For a man with a brand spanking kitchen, you've been far too negative.
To be fair, I've got a great kitchen, and I found out today that I have a ticket for Union Berlin against Eintracht Frankfurt in 2 weeks. So I am pumped. Berlin, here I come. So yeah, when you do the Southampton preview, I won't be available for that one. What a shame for everyone that is.
Hab Spaß.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and a beautiful city as well. I love Berlin. don't speak much German, but I have to say
You don't need to there. You don't need to there.
you don't need to.
Not
And if
needed.
you, and I
Turkish.
say, do you know that the last
Yeah.
time I went to Berlin, true
Turkish
story.
and English.
Last time I went to Berlin, I stayed in the hotel where the world's biggest fish tank exploded a few weeks ago. So there you go. The currywurst is amazing.
Your travel stories, honestly, the world's biggest fish tank, £30 million swimming pool at Pontins. You should do a travel show. You really should.
Wasn't
Not a
Pontins.
currywurst tasting though.
Yeah.
Not that gross. Very
Me and
gross.
Diver have got the rights locked in for a caller and diver, like the trip kind of thing with restaurants.
That sounds fantastic.
It'll be absolutely riveting stuff, wall to wall accounts and one-upmanship. And on that bombshell, I bid you adieu. It has been a pleasure. We are going to win this weekend. Come on, you Spurs.
The Colshaw Derby. Come on, you Spurs.
You got to hold and give and do it at the right time. You must
El Colchico. Come on, you Spurs.
Colchia, Chico.
Oh.